All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Limitless MD. I'm your host, Vikram Raya, and today I have my good friend, Scott Rammage. What if you could reclaim hours of free time each week, create legacy building wealth, and devote more energy to your passion projects without giving up on your career as a life-saving MD? My name is Vikram Raya, functional cardiologist, high-performance coach, and real estate expert. And I'm here to give you the tools, strategies, and solutions you need to transform your life so you can unlock your limitless potential and achieve greatness, all the while freeing up your precious time. Welcome to Limitless MD. Let's dive in. So guys, I've known Scott for a while, but this is the first time we're doing a podcast together. He's been helping my core constituency of high-performing physicians in my coaching mentorship called Limitless MD. And literally, everyone who needs a virtual assistant, everyone who needs some type of leverage of work or labor, I refer them to Scott. Scott hooks them up with some amazing person somewhere around the world, and literally they can't live without them anymore. And in fact, he's helped me find an amazing person for both my company, Viking Capital, and Limitless MD. So thank you, Scott. He is a family man. He is a weightlifter, a mountain biker, does snowboarding, travels the world, has multiple podcasts, has multiple businesses, and the guy's an all-around superstar. So welcome to the show, Scott.
Wow, that's an awesome intro. I appreciate it, Vikram. I've been looking forward to this opportunity to chat with you a little deeper.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So tell me, Scott, let's start with something completely different here. What's the book you're reading right now?
Oh, I'm reading Pumpkin Plan, Mike Michalowicz. And
very good.
It's opening some interesting windows into my life, kind of looking at how I've done things in so many different businesses and taking that and learning like where I went wrong in some areas, where I went right in some areas, and so that I can move forward and always grow.
That's awesome. Tell me how you got into, because you're known, at least in my circles, as the guy who can get you an amazing virtual assistant. How the heck did you get in this game?
Podcasting. It's quite honestly, I was contracting for a tech startup. I was running their sales program, or sales. I was doing all their sales. I was doing their customer journey planning. I was their customer client liaison. Like I took on from a startup a ton of roles in that company, and I also started a podcast. And the guy I was contracting for said, you need a VA. And with what I know was him knowing me and who I was, he said, but you'll never do it successfully.
Okay.
I'm like, and I'm great friends with him. I've talked to him since, and it was totally strategic. Absolutely. He knows my personality. He's like, I knew you would just go do it. And so I did. I went out and I went down I joined masterminds. I took classes. I did everything I could to learn about how it works and what doesn't work, because I talked to so many people who are like, oh, it doesn't work. Like it's a nightmare. Don't go down the road. It's fairy tale. And so I did all the work, and then I hired my first one, taught her how to do podcasting because I'd started this podcast, had no time to do it. And three full-time VAs later, I had offloaded about 40 hours a week from my contract work, because I was doing a lot of, just repeated tasks and things that I'm like, why am I spending my time doing this? They drain me and my energy. I can't create. I can't be as creative as I want to, and I can't stay in my zone of genius, and it's not earning me money. So 3 full-time VAs later, I'm running my own mastermind in the fitness industry all over the world. I had like 5 or 6 countries represented. And they're like, Scott, you have to stop telling us about virtual assistants. We've tried it. It doesn't work. And just let us use yours. And I'm like, huh. And from that moment on, I launched an agency where actually I have the in-house VAs and other people use them, because I have production team, video, audio, copywriters, the whole litany of talent out there. And so that's where this all began. And there was a big need for it. And quite honestly, I have a degree in master's degree in education and a degree in psychology and human behavior. And you put those things together, I'm pretty stinking good at finding the right people. And I'm pretty good at onboarding and training. So it turned into this really great opportunity to kind of push what I'm good at and help other business owners thrive in this area.
And tell me the time frame, like from the aha moment of, your friend saying you need a VA, but you'll never do it, till now. Like, what are we talking about here? 5 years, 3 years?
3 years, 3 years,
Oh,
almost to the
okay.
day. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fast and furious. Grew that agency really quick. Running businesses is nothing new for me. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. It was a quick, opportunity. And what I found is that I get the most joy out of opportunities where I'm solving a bigger problem. And I'm really, a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs, investors, a lot of them learn the hard way. And I had been a student of optimization, time optimization. I built my own like personal operating system is what I call it. I think I got that from some book. And like, everybody needs to optimize their time. They need to tap into their strengths and leave all that other stuff behind and leverage other people and every other resources for it. So it was a very natural fit for me to move in that direction.
That's awesome, Scott, that you're sharing some of that. So I love the fact that you use a personal operating system. That makes sense. I think like I've eventually come up with my own strategy as well, and I've shared it on the podcast here, guys. So like the life box, time blocking, creating like, a routine on Sundays. The look over you have your routine for the year and the quarters. All that's important. But as I've listened to Naval Ravikant and most recently Alex Ramosi, they talk about using leverage, and you're talking about one of the most powerful forms of leverage, which is people, labor. And if you use it correctly, it can literally, and you use the word zone of genius, and I love how you said that, because that's exactly what you want to do. I think many of the people who listen to this podcast, Scott, they're physicians. They're between 500 to, on the high end of people who are really doing amazing things, maybe $5,000 an hour.
Right.
And literally they're trying to figure out how to do websites. They're
It's
figuring out how
crazy.
to open emails, calendaring, like booking their own travel. I mean, things that scheduling. I mean, it's just there's nothing wrong with those tasks. It's just it's not, like you said, your zone of genius.
Right.
So help me understand first, why do people suck at finding VAs, and why are most people have given up? Because I did too until we came across yours.
That's a good question. Can I jump down some other path real quick
Of
first?
course, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So and you may teach this, but I talk to people, even my clients here. I'm like, you need to understand your earned hourly rate. And you're talking about that earned hourly rate. What is your rate? Be brutal. How much time do you spend? Do the calculation and keep that calculation in front of you, like monthly, like know it all the time. And it's like the race to a higher earned hourly rate. So how do I reduce my time and increase my value? And then ruthlessly outsource everything that's below your earned hourly rate that you can. So that's exactly like the formula for this. Like, I should not be mowing my lawn. That's cost me $35 an hour. I could have made, $1,200 in that hour. So what am I doing? Right. What was your question again? I got off that. I had to go on that tangent real quick.
It's exactly right. Like, figure out what your hourly worth is, and it's higher than you think. And then if anything is less than that, doesn't make sense to do it. That's what you should outsource. And the other things you should outsource are things that you're bored, you're frustrated with, you don't want to do. And I say use the power of procrastination. What do you frequently procrastinate upon? Hello, let's get Scott, let's get somebody, and let's go find some VAs that can do some of that. And if it's even higher level stuff, there's also higher level people. It doesn't have to be a virtual assistant. It'd be somebody else in your company, perhaps in your, in your industry, that you can bring on to do that. And then it allows you to, so I love, what you said. So back to the question of, why do people suck at finally going after they know they need to get a VA, they need to get somebody to help them, but they can't find the right person. And they've gone through agencies, they've gone through all of that.
A lot of smoke and mirrors, a ton of smoke and mirrors out there. Let's talk about trying to get your own. A lot of these virtual assistants, especially in like the Philippines, where I source from, the country has seen massive income coming in. It's like, this is a big potential to boost our economy, bring in a lot of money. The dollar is really strong. And so they're pumping money into education for VAs. So these VAs are going, or these folks are going, and they're getting all of these certifications on how to be a VA. Well, the training's horrible. It's just bad. And so they're coming and they're writing in their job applications or whatever, hey, I know this, I do this, I do this, I do this, I'm certified in this, this, and this. And people hire them and they're like, what the heck? They can't do anything without me showing them how to do that. That's why. It's because they're doing a fast track, like just get a certification, move on. The other thing is people are poor judgment. Like a lot of time people will choose somebody that's like them. That's who we're naturally, we have an affinity for people like us or complete opposite of us. Those are things you have to take in place. But when you're doing it yourself, you rarely do. And so I use the Tony Robbins disc. It's very, very, great. I'm like, are you looking for someone to replace you in this place? Or are you looking for someone to complement you? So then we're working somewhere. Do you need a driver who's going to like take this task and take this role and push and help you push? Or do you need someone who's like literally filling in the gaps? Or like for me, I've seen like history over time, and I know exactly what kind of profile makes a really good assistant, general assistant. I almost never leave that profile for a general assistant because it's worked over and over and over again. But people suck because they get lured in through a process that these individuals are learning how to attract people, and it's not super honest. So they get them in, and then it's a mess. Another reason, they don't know how to manage people. They don't know what to do. And my clients all now, thanks to one of your clients who said, hey, it would be really cool to have a course on what to do. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I shot a course. I created a course. Now everyone comes in, gets this like 1 hour course. It's just 1 hour. I know how busy these folks are. I'm like, here's red flags to look for. Here's how you offload tasks. Here's how you do project management. Here's how you pay them so that they get the most money and you're saving the most money. All those things, people don't know those. It's a wreck. It's a disaster in the making to try and balance all those things without any knowledge in front of you.
So Scott, I'm just going to tease apart some of the things because there's a lot of pearls and juicy things I heard. So one is the whole industry is sort of not regulated. So you can claim whatever you want. You can quote unquote be on paper whatever you want, but caveat emptor, buyer beware when you open up the package, right? It's like, I thought you were going to be more than that, right?
Right.
A lot of this, part of it is on them, part of it is on us. On them, it's, hey, you're presenting yourself as more than you are. So when I finally get you, there's a lot of work to be done. And essentially you're making me more work than that. Number two is maybe not searching for the right thing. Like if I'm a driver, I don't need another driver. Perhaps I need an integrator, or I need someone to fill in a role. And it's being absolute clarity on what you need for your company or for your business or for your personal life. Then it's once you get them on, even if they're amazing, if you don't know how to manage them, then you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot, right? So learning how to manage, learning how to delegate, learning how to onboard these VAs, and then learn to up-level them, and then make sure it's a win-win where they get compensated fairly, you get the work you need done, and it's a win-win, and you keep going. And so the successful people like you that I know in the industry have VAs for years, while the unsuccessful people, they switch VAs every couple of weeks or every couple of months.
Yeah, there's so many pieces to that, and this is a big puzzle that I've been able to kind of push together over time. And we try to take shortcuts. We want the fastest course to where we want to end up. And we hear that, a VA is a way to do it. We go after the cheapest person. And like, I'm more than happy to connect somebody with a very inexperienced young person. I've done very well at bringing in brand new into the industry VAs because I have a teaching background. It's the way I operate. I'm very patient. I know how to offload. I know how to explain steps, how to create SOPs. And so I know like I can take a $3 an hour person and build them up into, what should cost probably $1,500 a month. And they're super happy at $900 a month. Right. So I know I have that skill. In fact, one of your constituents or one of you, they he said, like, I'm really good at training. It's what I do. I train other dentists. And I'm like, okay, are you cool training someone new? And he did. And it's been incredibly successful, where there's others that want the cheapest they can get. They have no time. They have no time management, and they have no organizational skills. And it's a disaster. And at the end of the day, I'm still giving them what they want. But I have learned now, like, I'm going to fight tooth and nail. This is not what you want. And well, another thing that happens is we're like, I only have 20 hours a week of work. I can only imagine I have 10 hours a week of work. So I'm going to hire someone for 10 hours. I'm going to hire someone for 20 hours, or I'm going to pay them hourly. I'm going to tell you this right now. This is a public service announcement. They're going to get as many clients as they can to make as much money as they need. And that means you, offloading work, have no clue where you are in the pecking order. You have no clue if you're the lowest paying or the highest paying. You have no clue where you're at in importance of roles and how much they're trying to fill in. So what I tell people is, like, even if you only have 10 hours a week of work, I'm going to encourage you to hire a full-time VA. You'll build it up over time. And just get rid of the whole hourly thing. Just focus on what they're getting rid of for you. Like, if it's just checking emails and saying, hey, responding to some, and then saying, hey, here's your important emails for the day. Between task switching and the amount of time you lose in task switching and the frustration and all of the mass emails, you're probably paying that some person full time. You're probably getting 10x return, even if they're working 5 hours.
Let me just jump in there and stack on what you're saying. I love the fact that you mentioned task switching and multitasking. I mean, me and you we drink from the same Kool-Aid, but for my listeners out there who are like, hey, I'm a great multitasker. Hey, you know what? Like, I can handle so many things all at once. That's why I'm so successful. What's the science behind it? What's the truth?
The truth is, no matter how good you think you are, I'm going to make this as basic as I can. Every time you switch, you lose approximately 20% of your productivity. And my understanding is that can stack up to 80% loss in productivity. It doesn't take a mathematician to figure out that is a lot of your day lost. If you have a text come through and you're like, well, if I don't answer that, no one's going to, or if an email, I got to check them and respond. That alone can literally, it may take you 15 minutes to do it, but you do that 3 times before you're done. You probably could have saved yourself 3 hours had you either time blocked and moved that off or offloaded that type of task to someone else. The exponential loss of time is ridiculous. It's horrifying.
That's awesome. So, guys, if the goal is, Cal Newport has a book called Deep Work, and it's really all talking about like flow state, deep work, and just going deep with something, and hopefully it's meaningful, and hopefully it's going to get you to where you want to go in life. And that's why you want to do the higher level tasks, the zone of genius tasks, the sort of the gold tasks, if you will. And when you're doing low level tasks, that's not what you want to do. But then when you do low level tasks and you're going back and forth between those 2 low level tasks, that's just killer, because every time it's like you have to almost restart, or hey, where did I leave off? Okay, then you have to remember, and then okay, and then get back, and then you're not back. You have to get into the zone again. And when you're finally in the zone, you have another interruption. And so that eats up most of people's day. They actually did a study, Scott, where I think they took an executive or CEO and they made him have a stopwatch around his neck. And then they made him go through his whole day. And they asked him, and at the end of the day, they're like, all right, how much work did you actually get done? Like, real work did you get done in an 8-hour day? What do you think, Scott? What would you had to guess?
Well, I would think he thought he got a ton done, but I think the truth is maybe 60% of what he thought.
2 hours. 2 hours of real work done in a whole day, because of all what you're talking about. And this is a CEO. This is a high level operator. So, guys, you can smoke your competition. You can literally become number one in your industry, your sector, your company, your business, if you just focus on the most revenue generating or the things that are going to take your company forward. 80-20 your tasks, and then the 20% that need to be done by you for the best part of your business. You do that, and then bring on the VAs, bring on assistants, bring on leverage, and outsource the rest. And man, you'll be happier, you'll be richer, and you'll be very in a good place.
Oh yeah, it's so true. I mean, I've even gotten into the placement of American-based VAs, and this is
Oh,
a really
that's awesome.
interesting. You're talking $20 to $40 an hour, and it's still. I mean, my clients in that arena are like, this is. I am so much more productive. I'm getting so much more done, and I'm making such huge steps in my business. People don't know what they don't know. And when you operate in response mode all the time, and when you're operating in that kind of chaos of task switching, which we say is multitasking, which I think physiological is nearly impossible. I
Right.
don't know that
It's similar to like, you open up your phone and you're trying to download one app. That's great. Download two apps, it slows down a little bit. Try to download 15 apps, forget about it, right? So it's
yeah,
like your brain, you can only do one at a time, and it to go to the other task, it just goes back and forth.
that's funny because that's a kind of a scenario I use, an analogy. I'm like, it's like the tabs on your computer. If you don't have like just a massively productive, like amazing computer, you open 10 tabs or another window, everything starts to slow down. It's trying to grab things from all these different areas. That's why a personal operating system is so incredibly important, because you can close a bunch of tabs if you do that right. You can get things off of your mind if you have a way to capture ideas, you have a way to capture to-dos, and then if you're offloading those to someone else, then you're even like upping your game, where you're closing all these tabs and you're operating at a much higher level, and you'll catapult your results tenfold.
So Scott, I got a couple of cool questions here that I've had a lot of some of my audience sort of send in to me. So
Cool.
someone was Filipino versus Indian versus US. Talk to me.
All right. Wow. Filipino. I'm gonna be as brutally honest as I can without
Yeah.
making it hurt anybody's feelings.
Yes.
Generally, culturally honest, loyal, hardworking, and a true, absolute desire to learn. And so they know that this type of work is come and go. A lot of clients will start with them and they'll leave. So they're always on the hunt for new knowledge, new experience. And so they have this insatiable, need to learn more, just out of like perseverance. And so I love that about them, because a person editing podcasts can actually do admin tasks too, because they're so invested in continuing to learn and be better and create more value for you. They also are English speakers in school in general. And I only hire from specific spots in the Philippines. And there's like multiple reasons for that. But one is that they demand spoken English in the schools from very early, and they watch English TV. And those are questions I ask when I'm interviewing, like, how did you learn English? Where are you hearing it daily? Because those make a huge difference. And that's not the same in other countries. So I've hired in almost all countries. When it's an overseas VA, I am all in on the Philippines, because I've gone through the others and realized that that's where the gold is. US VAs, if you have any like fingerprint needs for financial, if you want zero accent, I have actually hired for some of your folks, people who you would not know where they live. You would have no idea. Very clear, enunciation is perfect, inflection is perfect, and it's doable. But with a US VA, obviously, same time zone, culturally very aligned, and sometimes it's just a better choice for people. It really has to do with their own personal belief systems or legalities. And so, like, but we can do HIPAA in the Philippines. We can be compliant in a lot of areas. It's just it just depends on a personal preference.
Okay. So for doctors, for their personal use, or even for their offices, or for their clinics, or for their businesses that they're running, you've seen success with Filipino VAs, US VAs. What about Indian VAs?
I have not seen success there.
Okay.
Well, I have seen success, and this is in a realm I'm in, for some of my other people in the same field, especially in the world of tech. And so that's really where we're seeing a lot more of that. Their actually dollar rate tends to be cheaper. It's just it's do what you do good and do it. And that I'm really good with the Filipino and
Sure.
American.
You figured those things out. Yeah,
Yep.
I've seen some success with a lot of people have used transcription services in India. They've used it for as well as medical billing, like all that kind of thing. A lot of back office kind of work is what a lot of the in the medicine part of things people are using in India for.
Yeah, I've hired a medical specialist from the Philippines directly for a clinic. I have hired a payroll and HR specialist. Now they make a little more, but they come in like almost completely trained. They've been through the system, and like the cost difference is so immense. I mean, you're talking about like someone coming in with incredible billing. They know medical billing. They know all the codes. They know how to chase those codes around. And I don't know all the lingo. They know how to do it. And you're talking like $1,200 a month, and there's no payroll taxes. It's insane.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, because now with the advent of ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, how does that affect the VA industry? Do you see this being paired with, hey, I have a VA and I have this artificial intelligence that I'm using? Tell me your thoughts on this. Again, I want to serve, these cutting edge doctors who are listening to this podcast. I want to give them the tools that they can succeed in 2023 and beyond.
So for clarity, I've been using Jasper AI for 2 years, and my entire team is trained on it and uses it. What we use it for is at baseline. So you get the content pumped out, and then you make it more personable. And Jasper has been amazing. It learns over time. It learns. So if you work in a client folder, it learns that voice. It starts to do the thing. ChatGPT, I believe. There is evidence right now that it actually will mess up your SEO scores if you're using that for blog writing. It literally is picked up. Google does not like it. So
I can imagine, because it's taking business away from them. So.
Right. This is all coming out right now. It does a good job for a baseline. And so I'm like, use it for your VAs. It's an incredible leveraging tool, but always change it, always edit, always flip it. It'll create more productivity. So like I have a whole system, like a whole series of systems for podcasts to get transcribed, podcast notes created, minutes, like, the minute rundown of what you talked about at each time. Like I have a whole like boom, 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 and pump out it all. Now, SEO and podcasting is a little different. However, I would say use it, but use it with extreme caution and understand the limitations and actually the ways it can be worked against you. But when it comes to a VA, it gives them an upper hand tool to speed things up. Got it.
All right, man. I could talk to you for hours, my friend. There's so much we can talk about here, but what's a good way? I mean, I'm going to have a lot of people interested in wanting to work with you. What's the best way, Scott, for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah. It's just got the website updated, because it was like, you know how it is. It's not my thing. I had to hire it out.
Right.
I'm like, but really, quite honestly, I'm social media driven. So Scott Rammage on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm most active on Facebook, believe it or not. And the power of the marketing in there is incredible. So it's the absolute best place to find me. I do have a website, and I'll provide that for you. It's brand new, so I can't even remember the domain name.
So that'll be in the show notes, guys. The website for Scott's, his company is called Media Machine Virtual Assistants, and his name is spelled SCOTT, 2 T's at the end, SCOTT Rammage. It's RAMMAGE, and so that's going to be on his social media handle. So look him up, guys. And reach out to them. But the key is get leverage, get the items done you want to do, make your 10-year goals into 6-month goals, and let's crush it, guys. And until next time, be phenomenal. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Limitless MD. If you found value from this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend and let me know by leaving a review. For more information, make sure you check out the links in the show notes below, or simply visit vikramraya.com. So until next time, my friends, be phenomenal.